DSPORT's D Garage has produced a number of project cars, many of which have come and gone. But one car, the original DSPORT project car, has been around for a while now. With DSPORT publisher Michael Ferrara burning the midnight oil at the office, the GTR had been gathering dust.
Before 2000, what was known about the Nissan Skyline GTR in the States was what little people could pick up from some option videos and the Japanese magazines at the time. It had this big aura about it that, it was Godzilla. It was this just tremendous vehicle. And at that time, personally, I was building up Project Talon, which was an all-wheel drive DSM, and I was encountering numerous challenges trying to keep the driveline intact as we put more and more power in the car. And just hearing these stories of these cars running 11s and 10s really got me interested. And when I found out from Dave Coleman that MotorX was going to be bringing in these vehicles, that was basically the time, with the frustration with the Talon and just learning what these cars can do, that was the time that I decided, okay, I'm going to get all the money I can get together and purchase one of these GTRs and see what we can do with it. And that's how the Project RH9 GTR came about.
It's famous for being the home of America's top dog, GTR. With 9-second quarters and 1,000 horsepower at the wheels, it's one of the angriest street cars in the world.
What we decided to do with the GTR follows a lot of what we do with any car that we build. I think it's important to understand that there's different limits for different enthusiasts. Some enthusiasts might be comfortable doing just bolt-ons to the car. Others might be comfortable, diving in there and getting into the heads and doing the cams and stuff of that nature. While others are just completely open to pulling the entire engine apart, turbo system, and really upgrading it. We tried to do the build on the Project RH9 GTR in such a way that we kind of accommodated all those different groups. Initially, we did the bolt-ons.
Our Project RH9 GTR is an excellent example of a street performance vehicle with a pair of big turbos. 700 wheel horsepower on pump gas or nearly 1,000 wheel horsepower on race gas. Unfortunately, those numbers don't tell the entire story. Since the engine is only 2.8 liters, there is a tremendous amount of turbo lag in getting these big turbos into boost.
And we kind of showcased at that point what you could do maximum effort with the stock turbos and the stock engine in place. And then we said, well, what if somebody went and wanted to put a real big turbo on this car, but leave the engine stock? That was the next iteration of the build.
When the Battle of the Imports came to town, it was a good excuse to waken Godzilla. After some basic maintenance at XS Engineering, the GTR hit the dyno to check the tune.
And we showcased that you could make upwards of 780 or 800 wheel horsepower on the stock engine. And essentially it ran a 10.0 at the time, just before the factory oil pump in the engine let go. And we kind of dispelled a lot of rumors that were out there about the engine and what needed to be done. And instead of just taking what everybody was saying at face value of things that you had to do on this car, we took it from a standpoint of not believing any of the information out there and just proceeding on our own. And in the process, we taught the community out there a lot of what could be done and a lot of what needed to be done. I think in general, the American tuner's philosophy is let's make it stronger, let's make it bigger, let's make it better, before they even figure out what the weak points are. That's the big difference, I think, in the tuning philosophies between the Japanese tuners and the American tuners. And not to say that one's better than the other, they each have their strengths. Generally, the American tuners are gonna push the car a lot harder, a lot quicker. But in the process of doing it, they're not going to learn what the strengths and what the weaknesses of the original platform are. The Japanese tuners tend to take a more methodical approach, pushing the car until they find the limit of one particular item, replacing that item, pushing it again, seeing what fails at that point, and really taking it to that level so that they completely understand all of the limits of the factory engine.
By By the end of the day, it was obvious that realising the GTR's best performance wasn't meant to be. The slipping clutch prevented the GTR from reaching its target trap speeds, and engine troubles meant the car was going home on a flatbed. Analysis of the engine revealed that one of the only factory components left, the exhaust valves, failed, causing the car to run on 5 cylinders before destroying itself and everything around it. Now, Mike is simply using this as an excuse to build a stronger and more powerful engine from an RB26 GT block. It's 8-second passes in full street trim or bust.
Right now, Project RH9 GTR is back here at our new facility. It's been back from the paint shop, and essentially it's just ready to be put back together. And now that we're going to have a full-time fabricator / mechanic on hand here, one of the first projects that we have on the board for him to get completed is getting Project RH9 back on the road.
Hey, I'm Reese Millen, driver of the Hyundai Genesis Coupe.
What's up? I'm Vaughn Gittin Jr., the 2010 Formula Drift champion.
I use Exedi clutches. I've used them for 8 years and they've never let me down.
It's the only clutch I'd run, it's the only clutch I'd recommend.
I've used Exedi since I first started drifting simply because it works.